Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of Sonata Software Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Shikhar Reddy, Managing Director and CEO, Sonata Software Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Margaret, and good morning, everybody who joined us this morning. I have today with me on the call Mr. Jagannathan Chakravarti, our CFO, Mr. Satya Narayana, the Head of Finance, Mr. Sujit Manti, Head of our India and Asia business, and Mr. Raghunath Puranik, Chief Growth Officer based out of the US. As you know, I think the results have now been posted on our website post the announcement and the board meeting yesterday. So I'll quickly take you through some of the qualitative highlights of the performance for last quarter, and then some headline outlook of where we see today the business in the next few quarters. As I did mention last time, the demand continues to look extremely promising. I'd also mentioned last time that there were and have been and continue to be supply constraints, as you all are aware of overall the current context on the supply side in the industry. We have, as mentioned, put in a lot of initiatives to create capacities, look for alternate sources for talent, both in India and outside India. Also look for opening up proximity delivery centers in some of the markets both to serve our clients better and also address some of the talent issues. So as I said, overall the demand situation looks good. We are addressing the supply constraints, and even if you factor in the additional capacity we got from the acquisition of Encore, we have added about, I think, a net of about 300 people last quarter, and I believe that we should continue to be able to do that similarly as we go forward, both for meeting our current needs and actually investing and planning for the future. I think that's what we are doing to ensure that we have the sufficient capacity 2 to 3 quarters from now, which has been really created internally and are able to meet any kind of needs which we will have going forward. So overall, if you take each of our business segments, the international business, I think we have seen good growth across most of our industry verticals. We have seen continue to see a growth in our digital services business. Again, I think primarily based on and driven by our whole platformation theme and value proposition and approach to market, along with the Microsoft alliance-led go-to-market. On the domestic business, we continue to see extremely steady growth, as I said, and we continue to see that as we go forward, both driven by demand in the market, additional partnerships. We have signed a more shift from our clients to cloud, leading to more, I would say, annuity-led arrangements. We made this acquisition of Encore, which had announced in the last meeting, but it had just happened. Now we have about a couple of months acquisition. So that's going well, and some of the figures are reflected in the current quarter. Our CX business and GBW, as I said, based on as the COVID rate is reducing in various markets, we are seeing some of the markets come back. Again, we are investing a lot more into that business. So while we will see a top line growth, we may not see a commensurate growth in PAT, while the margins in that business are good because of the investment both in marketing people and the development of the CX platform. So overall, net, we continue to see the demand being good across all the geographies, across all the industry verticals. We are have done, and will continue to do a lot to ensure we meet the supply related issues as we go forward. And overall, I think the margins continue to be healthy, although there are obviously increases in costs driven by the supply side. The thing, if you do a limited one-off item which we had last quarter, our margins this quarter continue to be decent, while on the organic basis, the margin growth has not been significant, while the growth in revenue has been about, I think, 5.5% on the international services side. So, as I said, we continue to see a very robust, promising demand situation. Continue to invest in a lot more senior talent. We have I added more senior talent. We had done some last quarter. We've done some this quarter, both beefing up our cloud and cybersecurity side of the practice. We have created the large deals team last quarter, and then now the deals team is operational. We'll continue to invest in senior talent and creating for growth. So that's I guess in a nutshell about the performance of the quarter and our visibility for the future. I'll hand it over to Jagan to take you through some of the details of the financials for the quarter, and then we'll take questions that you may have at the end of Jagan's presentation. So thank you all again, and over to Jagan.
Yeah, thank you, Shikhar. Good morning, all. Welcome to Sonata's earnings conference. We will get into the quarterly financial performance. The quarterly, we have continued to have robust growth in our revenue. The consolidated revenue has continued to have a quarterly CQGR of 4%, and EBITDA CQGR is 3%, and PAT CQGR is 3.2%. We continue to have a robust profitability and revenue growth in both the business, India business as well as international business. In international business, the revenue CQGR growth has been consistently high. In spite of the supply side constraints which Shikhar was highlighting, we continue to grow the revenue very well. Our margins have expanded in this quarter, and we are doing well both in terms of EBITDA as well as in terms of PAT. With the addition of Encore, the strength in our expanded verticals are also doing well. We continue to have a robust outlook for the next few quarters on the growth perspective. Domestic business has been consistently doing well. This is like a seasonal this thing. We have been highlighting that revenue. Please don't measure this business on revenue. Please measure this on gross contribution. If you see here, the gross contribution is consistently around 3.94%. This is a continued growth we have both in EBITDA as well as gross contribution, and the PAT percentage has been good for this quarter. This business is seeing a new growth perspective with the advent of cloud adoption by a lot of Indian companies. We continue to see a lot of growth in this business in the coming quarters, and this has also performed very well on the cash collection perspective and the working capital investment perspective. The return on capital employed continues to be robust in this business. This is broadly the financial summary of how much is the revenue, international revenue, and also the domestic revenue. you can see the international revenue has solid growth of 11% quarter-on-quarter and year-on-year growth of 25%. The EBITDA percentage has also been solid in this business, and we to continue to have robust growth of EBITDA in terms of continued growth in revenue. And we expect this. There can be some cost increases coming in because of the demand in the market and also supply side constraints, but we are very, very confident of doing well, both in front of revenue and PAT perspective in the coming quarters. On some of the operational metrics, the US business continue to be the largest contributor for us. This quarter, we have a little higher US contribution. And in terms of industry verticals, our ISV vertical has done well, and we continue to have robust growth in many other verticals like retail, essential has continued to be growing very well for us. And also the travel has continued to be maintained at the same levels. And domestic services, the key digital services are really doing well, particularly dynamic services, and also the rest of the digital platformation services have been robust, and we continue to see the growth coming in this quarter. We continue to see the offshoring little bit increase in this quarter compared to last quarter. However, we feel that over a medium-term perspective, this will get moderated a little bit. Our IP-led revenue is continuing to remain at 35%. Few more operating metrics. With this, we have added new clients have added for this quarter. 8 new clients have been added, and we have added more than $1 million customer. 5 new customers have been added. The top 5 customers contribution remains very robust, and our headcount addition has been very strong. Apart from the addition from Encore, we have also got a solid addition in the organically with this company. And sales and marketing, we have, as Mr. Srikhar highlighted, we continue to invest and expand on the sales and marketing. More investments are happening. We expect this to add to our growth in the coming quarters. With this, I conclude my financial presentation. Hand it back for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Mohan Kumar from MJ Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, and congrats on a great set of numbers. Please forgive my ignorance over here. I'm relatively new to the company, and I just wanted to understand what's driving the seasonality over here, because I've noticed that for the last couple of years too, the Q2 tends to be relatively weaker versus the rest of the year. So can you please throw some light on that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We are in.
All right. Yeah. So the seasonality, as I mentioned, is in our domestic business, and the domestic business depends upon sometimes lumpy deals which happen in quarters. So typically in Q2 there are less of these large deals. So typically large deals means lower margins. So the percentage of when you have quarters where the deals are larger, the percentage of the margin will decrease. So that's why, as Jagan mentioned, we manage this business based on gross margin and not on absolute margin. So that's what we have been mentioning in the last 30, 40 quarters, where we have tried to describe what this business is, how it is managed, kind of stuff. And that gross margin continues to steadily increase. And because of that, the PAT keeps increasing.
Got it. That sounds good. Thanks a lot for that. Just one more question on similar lines. So the margins have expanded considerably in this quarter. So can we expect that trend to continue? Because you've spoken about supply side concerns, but despite that, looks like pricing power is really coming in. So can you throw some light on what can we expect for probably the next couple of quarters, maybe the next couple of years, while demand continues to remain solid?
I would stay cautious in the immediate future. While we will work towards retaining and the margins given the pressure on the supply side. But in the long term, I think the margins should be robust. When things stabilize and one is going to get back to a more stable situation on the supply side, one can expect the margins to be better. But in the short term, everybody's guess, but one is all expecting it's about at least 3 to 4 quarters where one can be dependent on the dynamics on the supply side in the market.
Got it. Sounds good. And just one final question. So I remember during the last call you had alluded to growth on a YOY basis of close to 20%, and the last 2 quarters have been really strong. So can we expect probably to see a number slightly higher than that?
Subject to the supply side, next quarter we'll have a lot more vacations and stuff like that. But overall, I think as we see it, as I mentioned last time, don't see any reason why we shouldn't meet that number.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All the best for coming quarters.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vaidik Sarkar from Unifi Capital. Please go ahead.
Shikhar, hi, good morning. Congrats on a very strong quarter. Couple of questions. Could you flesh out the moving parts within the managed cloud practice for us? What is driving this kind of momentum? Is this our non-Azure practice? And what are your service components within this as we manage?
Okay. Managed cloud services have got two components really. One is the infrastructure related services for cloud, which are mainly management of the cloud infrastructure or migration, which are really lift and shift to a cloud environment. Then on the development side, there are cloud native application development, modernization of existing cloud applications onto the cloud. So these are the 2 service categories which are there in the managed cloud services. And in the initial phase, we are seeing more on the managed services and migration, and now we are seeing more demand pickup also on the native cloud development and modernization and so on and so forth.
Sure, that's clear. And also the practice area within the Microsoft digital platform, how much of this is project-based versus annuity? And is this primarily Azure migration, or is there a cloud-native development practice within this as well?
The Microsoft digital platform is really the Dynamics platform and the surround of the Dynamics. So that's the Microsoft digital platform. And then there is the Azure cloud, which is a separate platform.
Sure. So how is that different from what you report within Microsoft Dynamics?
Sorry.
No, see, unless I interpret this wrong, you report the practice areas around Microsoft as Microsoft Dynamics as well as Microsoft Digital Platform. You're saying a part of Microsoft Digital Platform also does work for Dynamics. Did I hear you right?
Okay, I should let me just then step back. If we are reporting the Dynamics separately, then the Dynamics is separate. Then the digital platform is non-Dynamics part of the Microsoft, which is then Azure and data.
Okay, cool. That's clear. Just a bookkeeping question on your reported growth. Ex of acquisition that you did last quarter, what is the constant currency currency? If you can please call that out.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
No, just a bookkeeping question on the reported growth. Ex of the acquisition that you completed last quarter, what is the constant currency number growth?
Growth on international services has been, I think, 5 or 5.5%, or the organic growth on the international services. on the revenue side. And the margin, if we adjust for that one-time, we took last quarter on the ILFS and all that. I don't know. I can ask my finance team to share it, but my feeling is the margin would also be of a similar nature. But if you just see the reported number, and the margin growth may be about 1%.
Sure. And if I could just slip in one last question. The run rate on, your top client and travel seems to have stagnated, although the EU travel seems to have come back quite strongly. Is the outlook looking any better than what it was a couple of quarters back?
That's one account where we have had supply challenges. Otherwise, outlook looks good.
Sure. Thanks, Shikhar. Best wishes.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mohit Jain from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Three questions. One was related to ISV OPD revenue growth. Like, it appears that some part of the acquired revenue has gone into that because healthcare revenue, which is shown separately, is a small component of the overall integration. So, can you give us what was the growth in ISV sequentially, and what is the outlook there in that particular segment?
I can ask our finance team to share the number because, as you said, some part of the Encore team, I don't know what part of the Encore revenue is, what part of the Encore revenue has gone into ISV. They have three segments: logistics, ISV, and healthcare. Can somebody from the finance team answer that question?
What is the
growth on ISV,
yes,
and what is the total growth, including Encore stuff on the ISV side?
Yes. The major portion is between healthcare and logistics. The other portion, a small portion, has been added to the ISV segment. It is about 20% of the revenue of Encore.
20% of ISV revenue?
No, of Encore revenue. Encore, whatever is the quarterly revenue we have added.
Encore revenue is added to ISV segment.
Correct.
And what is the outlook there, sir, from an ISV segment perspective on an organic basis? Like, what kind of growth rates are we seeing in terms of recovery, acceleration, etc.?
No, as you said, we are seeing growth across all the segments, Mohit. Yeah,
Sir, why I am asking this is generally high tech is accelerating versus the rest of the segments. For us also, it may, as Bedek also asked you, you are aligned in the right technology area and the client. So should we expect for us also ISV will be accelerating and outperforming the other segments, or do you think it will be evenly spread from Sonata's perspective?
If we see our pipeline, what we have, right? I'm seeing a more unified distribution, right?
Okay.
Not if I see my current deal pipeline, both existing and new.
Sir, second was on IT services margins. Now, last quarter also you opened some centers abroad, and I think in the last call you said that as things normalize, you are also, or you have plans to diversify the delivery base. Also, there are these wage pressures in India. So, what kind of IT services margins are you looking at from a steady state perspective?
The previous person, I would be cautious for the next 3-4 quarters while we try to manage it both sides, both trying to get some extra revenue and trying to manage these costs through more very creative talent development initiatives. But I would remain cautious. It's very difficult. I don't know to predict because it's pretty volatile right now.
Exactly.
The wage pressures are between 30% to 120%. So, don't know what that number will be. So I would rather be extremely cautious at this time. To be cautious, we are trying to manage this, but very difficult to predict. So I would say that let us be cautious for the next 3 to 4 quarters.
Cautious could be like 100-200 basis point impact could be there, or do you think could it be like severe or something?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. What is the impact on both the sides? So at this stage, I would say let's take a qualitative statement of let us be cautious, and it'll be good if we can surprise ourselves as we go forward.
And so last is a repeat question for last many calls. Now this time you said travel you are turning positive.
Yes.
So our previous run rate of course was much higher, and we are sort of at a much lower number. Also, industry has recovered on the travel side, IT services industry.
Yes.
So now, given this revised outlook, etc., that you have on European travel, in how many is there a way we can say that in, let's say, 3 quarters, 4 quarters, you can go back to the previous highs? Is there some direction?
I think so. As I said, we have a more of our supply constraint had impacted that particular business. So demand is picking up more or less. The client has been back to 80% of 2019 numbers. So they're hoping to get back to 100% of 2019 numbers in the next 1 or 2 quarters. So the demand is not a problem, and we are working towards solving the supply side issues, and hopefully we'll solve it. And so to that extent, yeah, the demand looks extremely robust.
So this quarter, travel stagnation was more to do with supply than demand from the top line.
Yes, absolutely, totally.
So if the hiring stays the way it has been in 2Q, you expect
backfill everything. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Chandra from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir, and thanks for the opportunity, sir. Just to extend the question on the travel vertical. So you said that we will reach 100% of 2019 numbers. So I just like to understand on travel with the larger client. So is the growth will be mostly linked to the recovery in the travel, and is it like volume linked, or have we increased the scope of work with the larger client, or is it like newer areas that we're working in, or is it just the recovery of the volumes that we were doing earlier? So on the travel vertical. And second is on the attrition number. If you can share that, how has been the attrition? And on the margins front, we have done pretty well, but we have mentioned that we are likely to build a bench, especially for the Microsoft practice. So how that is going to impact the margins in the coming verticals?
A lot of questions. So when I said on the travel side, right now, what in the last 18 months, the focus was on building new stuff because they were wanting to use that opportunity to create new stuff, right? Now, once things come back to normal, then we'll go back to doing the actual keeping the business going work, and that should start picking up. So that's where we will expect growth to come from. The new thing is what we have been doing already, kind of thing. So that's on the travel business. And I guess your next question was around
attrition and
attrition has been about I think about 23 to 25%. Okay. And then the next question you had was on the margins have answered that question, right? We are trying to factor all this building capacity and all that into what we are trying to do, but also trying to ensure that we keep the margins where we are. So very difficult at this stage to give an exact number, and I've answered this question to the 2 previous people also.
I was just trying to understand from the angle that we are trying to build a bench, right? So will that have an incremental impact on the margins, or we are okay with this kind of margin band that we're working with?
The bench is already there. I mean, we have added, as I said, 300 people. We had almost added about, I think, 500-600 people in the last 2 quarters. So without the acquisition numbers. So I'm less concerned because that's controllable cost. The uncontrolled cost is the lateral part, which is we need to do to meet immediate needs. And that's where I think I will be cautious of either doing backfill or meeting immediate needs, not waiting for the bench which has been created, right? We want to create a deliverable bench. That means you take X kind of people and then create the training and all that so that they're and these are not trainees. These are, again, experienced people, but with different skills and how we train them on digital skills and then put them on the projects. So that's a more controllable phenomenon. So that's factored in. It's really what the lateral impact, both meeting immediate needs and backfilling, and what that impact can be is what I want to be cautious about.
Okay. And on the international business, what is the subcontracting, subcontracting cost and how that has changed? So obviously that has gone up for the industry. So is it now ours is somewhat
okay,
different from the industry, or there is rising subcontracting?
I get your question. I don't know whether we are looking at that way. Do you have any number, the finance team, on that?
No, Shikhar, we have not disclosed any specific numbers on that. But the subcontractor cost is remaining at the similar levels of, it has little come down compared to last quarter still.
Okay.
Because they're saying it's gone up for others, so that's why there are people that.
Yeah. Because last quarter we have invested a lot because of supply side constraints and COVID impact. This time we have a little bit moderation has happened, but it's not substantially different.
Okay. So I guess if you can share that number going forward, that will be useful because of the metrics for it back, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Mohan Kumar from MJ Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, so just one question on the hiring front. So you had mentioned that you are looking to hire heavily. So I just wanted to know if there is a number around how many people that you probably would be hiring over the next 2 to 3 quarters, and would that be largely backfilling, or would that be kind of to build up new capacity? And just a follow-up on that, I've noticed in your presentation that the utilization is around 90%. So do we see a position where we probably get a utilization to close to the 95 mark over the year?
Sorry, I don't know. The utilization is like 80%, right? Not 90%.
Sorry, 80%. So do you expect that number to go up over the next?
No, not for the next 2 to 3 quarters.
And with respect to the hiring, so the numbers, could you throw some light on what are the numbers they're expecting over the next couple of quarters? And would that be more backfilling, or would that be for the new business?
Both. It will be both, 3 things: backfilling, immediate needs, and future demand. So,
got it.
Looking at maybe a gross number of about possibly 600 people a quarter. A gross number.
Got it. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dheeraj Dave from Samvat Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for providing me opportunity. Congratulations on good set of numbers. One question I had is related to slide 19. We see the lowest customer addition. In fact, if you see this in last 4 quarters, we just added 8 customers as per the presentation in Q2 22 in international business. So one part is that, and if I look at the new million customer data, I find that we have almost like 36 new million customers, but 5 are being added from Encore equation. So if I take that, then basically there is no sequential improvement. In fact, so any reason why we are not seeing, despite being so great demand, why we are not able to scale up our customer to 1 million kind of it? Any thought on that?
No, so our description of a million customer is not as the customer has the potential to give us $1 million. It's the thing where the customer reached the annuity rate of $1 million. You understanding the difference?
Yeah. No. My question is, the point is that if I look at past data, we used to have 1-2 addition every quarter, at least 1 or 2. If I look at Q2 21 to Q1 22, we find that there has been.
Correct. What I'm trying to say is that addition is not that the customer was acquired the previous quarter. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that I understood. That it reached the 1 million milestone.
Acquired some time back. Now
yes.
We have reached $1 million run rate business.
Yes.
Right. So it can vary based on when each of these customers hit a run rate business. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So Management is optimistic that over a period of time, many of customers will reach. Probably the timing issue is.
Who have been acquired will convert into $1 million run rate customers. That's correct.
Yeah. And secondly, on Encore side,
we gain more and more on people with more potential. To that extent, we are getting very selective about the clients we are adding to our portfolio.
Fair enough.
And we will see that these numbers will not be as high as in the past.
Yeah. So these 5 customers which we have $1 million approximately from Encore, can you provide some geographical distribution? Is it US based or which area?
Encore is a 100% US company.
Okay, fine. Thanks a lot. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question at this time. The next question from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations for a good set of numbers. My question is, can you give the financials of Encore and what capabilities it brings to the table?
Okay, let me answer the second question first, and I'll ask my finance team to answer the first question. So the capability, as I said, the industry verticals are healthcare, logistics, and IFE. The main capability is on the cloud services and then the digital assurance services.
Okay.
I can ask my finance team to share the numbers which have come into this quarter.
We have disclosed this during the acquisition also. They have a run rate of around $15+ million of revenue with about 20% of EBITDA. They are running at.
So 15 million annually, right?
Annually, yes.
And Mr. Jagannath, can you give me employee cost specifically for IT services for this quarter and last quarter?
Employee cost is disclosed in our financials, sir. We can get from there, from the financials itself. Regulation 33 has the details of all those things.
For IT services specifically?
Specifically, IT services employee percentage is not that the cost has substantially changed as a percentage of revenue. You will be able to. I will offline. I will share it with you.
I didn't find it anywhere. So why don't you share the number?
Okay, we will check on that details and then share it with you offline.
Share it offline. Means should I drop a mail or call you?
Yeah, please share. Drop a mail to me.
No, we will not share it offline. Whatever we share, we'll put it on our website. There will be no offline.
Yes, Shikhar. Yes, we will do that. Offline. First, I have to prepare for it and then disclose it to him, Shikhar, on the call. That is the reason why I asked him. I will share it separately because I have to update this thing also.
And lastly, can you give the subcontracting expenses means exact number for last quarter?
Anand?
Yeah, we answered the previous question. He doesn't have it. When he shares it, when he discloses it and puts it out, he'll share that also with you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Uday Segar from Kona Wealth Management. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning everybody. Sir, my question is, you mentioned there are supply side constraints. So could you highlight what are the 3 biggest supply side constraints and what is the risk mitigation strategy the company has undertaken?
What was your question?
Sir, what are the 3 biggest supply side constraints you are facing and what is the mitigation strategy for the same?
Okay. Supply side constraints are attrition, then getting the right people at the right cost in the market at the right time, and the third is ensuring that the people who are offered actually join the company. So these are the 3 supply side constraints. Did you get the answer?
Yes, sir. So what is the mitigation strategy for the same? So
we are looking. We have done a compensation review. We have done an interim compensation review. We are looking at another compensation review partly something this quarter, and then starting in January, starting with the quarter of January 1st. Just on compensation to improve retention. Of course, there are a lot of employee engagement initiatives and career planning, career migration, switching, moving them to the right project, giving them higher roles, all that kind of stuff. So that's the second part about their own career and all that kind of stuff to get the attrition down. The second is obviously, we have scaled up our recruitment capacity by, I think, 5x in terms of, I think today, we must be having, we have increased our recruiting team from about 15 to 50, and we got some recruitment process outsourcing. And then, as I said, we're looking at other, markets, both tier 3, tier 4, rural India, rural outsourcing, and some other countries for getting talent. So that's on the talent this thing. Third is I think it's we cannot do anything about if somebody today quits and has 5 jobs, you can't do anything about ensuring what percentage of offers we make join you. So all we are doing is that, as I said, the biggest thing we are doing is to proactively create capacity, and that is the largest risk mitigation strategy we are implementing.
So similarly in that line, yes, so we understand that internally you are doing things to keep employees engaged and attractive. But at the same time, we have friends in the IT space, right? So they are getting offers left and right from other companies. So they are likely to move to ones which pay more. So in that context, internally, what is the percentage increase in employee cost that with a 15 or 20 beyond which you will put a cap? So just to understand.
No, I didn't understand. What is the question?
So the thing is, employee cost going forward, it has increased substantially for all IT companies in the last 9 to 12 months.
Right.
So then that's an industry-wide thing. So Sonata specific or industry specific, what do you think is it cannot keep exponentially growing, right? So there is a point at which companies will...
You have to create your own capacity. That's what I'm trying to say. So you
Okay.
keep the what is the popular concept called the pyramid in the industry. You focus on the pyramid. So right now the pyramid has become top heavy. So they get it back to the normal stuff. And for that, you just need to create capacity. There's nothing else you can do about it. You go into the market, you want somebody, the cost will go up. There's no other option.
Okay. Okay, sir. My final question is, sir, the theme of digitalization, which played very well for many IT companies, especially companies like yours, during the COVID period. So can we assume that trend overall is still on a exponential growth, or it has tapered down to some extent because a lot of people have adopted that already?
Not yet. I think there is still a reasonable amount of tailwind on that thing. So how long we don't know, but obviously there was it's not that the digitalization, if it was at a 15 to 18% growth kind of stuff before the pandemic, that has just jumped up to about 30%. Even if it goes back to 18% or whatever, it will be on a much higher base. So to that extent, it's not going to become less than what it was before the pandemic.
Okay.
It's just boosted up in the interim, and that will continue for at least a few quarters. This bump up.
Okay. So can we assume at least another 2 years this trend will continue? This with 15% growth rate.
Digitalization is going to continue for we don't know for however long, right?
Okay.
5, 10 years. That's not what we are talking about. It's this extra bump. I'm thinking that the extra bump in the demand by additional demand coming on already a high growth industry, high growth service line.
Correct.
May last for 4 quarters. That's my estimate. But yeah, and anybody's guess is as good as mine.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That is all from my side. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question at this time. A reminder to all the participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may press star followed by 1. The next question is from the line of Mohan Kumar from MJ Financial. Please go ahead.
So just one final question from my side. Are you looking to do any more acquisitions across the world? I know you've done a few in the last couple of quarters, but is there a pipeline that...
Yeah, there is a pipeline. We are looking at actively, but we will be cautious about valuations are a bit steep right now, so we will not be reckless.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Amit Chandra from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity again. So, sir, my question is on the domestic product services business. So there we have seen some kind of weakness in this quarter. So the YOY growth was the weakest in the last 5-6 quarters. So is there any kind of like pent up demand that was there, which is tapering down, or we are fully confident of the growth in the sector, and also the receivable days, the DSO days in this is coming down. So are we getting very selective in terms of, or is it being driven by like better collections, or like what is driving that? So if you can throw some light on that.
Okay, I don't know where you're getting our YOY on our domestic business must be some huge stuff. I don't know what the number is, but must be at least 60-70%.
So YOY was around 15%. Earlier it was doing at 28-30% YOY. So
no. So would it be about 50-60% YOY on domestic business? I don't know. My finance team can share that with you, but maybe it's more also. So it's, I think the YOY on the domestic business this quarter, I don't know. Can the finance team share it on gross contribution?
Yes, we can. 1 second. The domestic business revenue growth was actually 16% growth. Total is 32.33%.
No. The PAT.
PAT growth is about it's 76% growth year on year.
Right. Yeah. Amit, that's the number.
Yeah. So I obviously, in terms of PAT, there has been the growth, but that is like compared to the COVID quarter, like in the COVID quarter. But in terms of the in terms of top line growth, I was talking about.
So, yeah, as I said, top line is something which is I mean, it could be, any number. As I said, we focus on the gross contribution, and top line is highly incidental on the revenue mix for that quarter. If you're going to see our top line for this business next quarter, Q3, will be huge, because that's been the seasonality in that business.
Yeah. And also on the collections part in this business, so what is driving that? Better collections.
Yeah, I think things were obviously a little how do you say, tight during the COVID period, where people were asking for extended credits and so on and so forth. I think things have become a lot better now since the end of that, and I think that has led to a more healthy collection cycle.
Okay.
We have very strong collection outlook. Money collection is there, and the total working capital investment is also coming down every quarter.
Okay. So so we have mentioned 77% revenue from cloud and around 75% annuity business. So that is also what is driving the high collections, right? Because the quality of customers that we're engaging has improved significantly in this business.
Sorry, the question is the cloud and the annuity business driving better collection?
Yeah.
Yeah. The nature of business is also helping, but business is also improving a lot. Quite a lot of opportunities are coming, and by nature, our continued monitoring of credit quality of the customers and strong follow-up with the customer and strong value delivery to the customers is helping us.
Okay. Thank you and all the best, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Means we are a platformation-based company, so I'm wondering, our requirement of engineers should be less as compared to traditional IT services. So could you please explain why this mismatch or what I am missing here?
Yeah, I've told many times that that platformation is not a platform. We are not licensing platform. We are not an IP business. We said we are using our IP as a differentiator to get services business. We are still a services business, and because of the platformation or IP, we can hope to get better margins for our services. We are not a non-linear business model. So that's what I'm trying to communicate. We are not a non-linear business model.
Okay, so our revenues will always be linked with
in the services. Yes,
yes.
Absolutely right. Unless there is a clearly separate license-led business, then they will be non-linear. The revenues won't be linked to headcount. Yes.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions from the participants, I now hand the conference over to Mr. Shikhar Reddy for closing comments.
Great. Okay, thank you, Margaret. Thank you, everybody, for joining the call today, and thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for your support. Whatever are the, actions, finance team will get back and share that information. So thank you all again for joining us today.
Sir, before we conclude the call, I noticed we have one question in queue. Would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Rajiv Venkatesh, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Rajiv. Just one question. How are we shaping up on other cloud like AWS and say the GCP? We know we are masters or the leaders in Azure, but I just wanted to check on how we are shaping up on other clouds.
As I mentioned, I think maybe 3 quarters back, that we had just signed up with both these in India. And I think both are looking extremely good, and we will see them driving solid growth to start with in the India market, and then like we did with Microsoft, we will then take these partnerships global. But right now the focus, we just signed about a year ago, and I think it looks extremely good, and we will see growth in our India business driven by these 2 partnerships, and as we did with the other alliance, we will then take it global.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. On behalf of Sonata Software Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.